countdown continues. We are at 70 days until Halloween, and boy, do I have the perfect DIY for you in today's video. Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Justina, and here I like to make, create, and inspire fun art things with you through my DIYs that have an artistic twist. And in this one, you're definitely going to need some cardboard. I know you have some lying around your house because I have plenty. If you have an Amazon box or a Walmart box or any just cardboard box, it is going to be perfect for this DIY. Before we get started, if you are new here and you haven't yet subscribed, I hope you do that today. All you have to do is click on that big red subscribe button down below. It is totally free. But don't forget to click on the bell notification so that YouTube can always notify you every time I upload a new video. Plus, we would love to have you here, part of our virtual art family. If you're already a subscriber, thank you so much for being here. I really do appreciate you. But don't forget to do all of the YouTubey things down below, which is like, comment, and share it to at least one friend. They're going to want to see this one. Now, with all that being said, let's just jump right into it and let's art today. To begin this project, you're going to need a cardboard box, like I mentioned earlier. Any type of box pretty much would work for this DIY. You can just shape your box into the box that I have here, but I just have this Amazon box that was delivered to my house. I was going to recycle it, but after I was looking at it more and more, it started to look like a giant book, and that's what I want to turn this box into, is a spooky Halloween book. And I just think it turned out super fantastic, so make sure you watch all the way through. The first steps I needed to do was clear off the box from any stickers and extra material that was on it. Next, as you see here, there are two flaps inside of my box that's holding it together, and I'm pulling that up very gently because I don't want to damage it. I just want to pop it open. This box did open up on the side that are actually going to be our pages of the book, and I wanted our book to open up like a regular book. So that is why I am gently removing that off of each other, and it's just held up by a little bit of hot glue, it looks like. As you see here, now it looks like it's going to open up as a regular book. Now, it did have extra flaps on the inside right here from where we gently removed those. I am now going to remove them using a pair of scissors. These are actually going to be braces for the inside of my box so that I can glue it all back together and it will open up the right way. Now, if you have a box that looks similar like this and it opens up the right way so that it looks like a book, you can always skip this step. Now, to attach everything back together, I am using a hot glue gun and my hot glue stick and applying it together. This is just a basic hot glue stick and it worked perfectly. I just held it into place until everything adhered to one another. Now, with the prices going up everywhere, it's really hard to find decent decor pieces that have a lot of detail for a really good price. So I love to DIY with stuff that I already have on hand, and cardboard is something I feel like everybody has, so it is a great way to really spruce up your Halloween decor or any season decor by using some of this cardboard. Now, as you see here, I am hot gluing those flaps that we cut off right back into the box to add as a extra support. I am just using my hot glue gun to attach it down. That way it just adds a little bit more of a better structure. As you see here, everything is glued down and back into place, and now it actually opens up like a book, and it is super adorable already. Now, we just have to trim up some extra pieces to really make the shape of the book really look like a book. So as you see here, I was pointing at this area. I'm taking an X-Acto knife and removing the excess because I wanted my front cover and my back cover to be a little bit longer than the actual pages of the book. So I'm just using my X-Acto knife to get rid of that. I just continue cutting until I could get as close as I possibly can to the flush part of the cardboard. Now it is time to turn this book into a book. I'm going in with my all-purpose caulk that I purchased from Dollar Tree, and I have this little popsicle stick. Now, this first bottle was at the very end of its shelf life, so I am just digging the rest of it out so that I can use it, waste not, want not, and I'm applying it to the pages part of this book. And Then I am using that popsicle stick to smooth everything out. Now, since these are pages, I am going in one direction, but I am spreading it out. Now, you don't want it too thick, but you don't want it too thin. That way you can imprint it to actually make it look like pages. As you see here, I am adding more of that caulk right on top. I'm pretty sure you can use some spackling as well, but the lightweight spackling that I usually use tends to have a hard time sticking to cardboard, so the caulk worked perfectly for this. As you see here, I'm just continuing to add that on, spreading it all over. Next, I am using a plastic fork to start to drag it through the caulk that we just laid on, and these are actually going to be the pages of our book here. It is the perfect way to add these rigid lines in between, and once it dried, it really did look like pages. So I will continue adding these little brush marks all the way down using this fork. Now you can use a plastic knife or maybe a paintbrush, but this fork method worked out perfectly. I will continue adding it until I think it looks like enough pages that are on it. Then I will flip it to the side and we'll continue doing the same process. I did have to open up a new bottle of caulk, and as you see here, I'm just applying it everywhere on the side where my pages are going to be. Once again, I am spreading it out using a large popsicle stick. Now, this caulk tends to dry pretty quickly, so I suggest working in batches. That's why I did the first section first, working on the side section, and then I will work on the bottom section after I'm done making these pages on the side. Then once I was done, I did let this sit to dry overnight, and that way it was completely dry for the morning. As you see here, it is absolutely completely dry. Now there is a little bit of cracking here and there, but that's perfectly fine because we will cover this later with some paint. Now it's time to work on the front cover. The edge of my book cover here was a little rough, so I am adding some masking tape right on the end of it just to make it a little bit smoother. And I realized that the cover of my book was a little bit too close to the actual pages of my book, and I wanted my book cover to be sticking out just a little bit more. So to remedy that, I took a paper towel roll, cut it in half, and now I'm laying it up against my front cover. I place that paper towel roll on the edge of my book, and I'm just measuring out to see how long I actually want it from the pages. I just wanted maybe a half an inch to maybe an inch further out from my pages. So I am taking some hot glue, added a bead of it to the opposite side of where I cut, then squished it together so that it adhered down. I'm trimming off any excess as you see here, and then I will place it right back onto my book. This will add a just an extension of the book so that when you open the book, there's a little lip and it will feel more of a book. I know that there was an extra little piece, but I did cut another paper towel roll and did the exact thing to fit the top portion. Then to adhere everything down, I'm just using my hot glue, placing it in there and pushing down. To really make your book stand out, it's really about the details. I'm using this really large eye that I purchased from Dollar Tree, I believe last year, and I bought a few that have different types of eyes. I've been using this a lot this year if you've been following my channel, and as you see here, I'm just adding some hot glue because we are going to attach it to our book right in the center right here. I am pushing down firmly to make sure that it adheres well to the cardboard. Now you are going to need some craft paper or any type of tissue paper really to add on top of your eye to make a lid. I just have craft paper in my crafting stash that I just ripped up, and I'm crumbling it onto itself and then molding it to actually look like the eyelid. Then I will hot glue everything down into place. Now you don't have to always use craft paper if you want to. You can actually use some clay if you like to use clay or have clay. I did not have clay, so I'm just using what I have, and it still worked out perfectly. I continue adding layers on top of layers to really get the eye to look realistic as much as possible. Then I will add more of that paper all around the eye on the bottom, trying to make that lid look like it's coming off of the book as well. Then once again, I will attach everything using my hot glue gun. This is on the low setting so I do not burn myself. Then I take more craft paper and I'm going to to add it to the entire book on the outside cover so that everything is attached. It does give this book a more spooky look and more detail because it looks very old and wrinkly and spooky, and that is the vibe that I am going for. You can also do this DIY by making it cutesy. You can use bright, bold colors and just make the eye look a little bit more friendly if that is the vibe that you're going for. But on this channel and at my house, we like things a little bit more spooky and creepy, so that is what I always try to aim for. As you see here, I am attaching more of that craft paper to all of the sides of the book, and once again using my hot glue to attach everything down. If you have made it this far into the video, if you can leave me a eye emoji or put eye book down in the comment section below, I would deeply appreciate it and know that you are the real VIPs of this channel. After everything was attached, this is how our book looks thus far. I absolutely love it like this, and I think you can totally get away with just ending it right here. However, I like to spruce it up even further and add little spooky elements to it. So the first thing I needed to do was add these half circles to each corner of my cover. This is just an added detail. You don't have to do this, but it always looks better when there's more stuff on there that just catches your eye. I'm attaching it using my hot glue gun, and then I used my hot glue gun to start making these little spider webs on the corner. I go in really slowly. I did speed this up so it does look like I'm going fast, and I go over my lines twice so that it is raised higher off of the book cover. Then I go in between those lines in a U shape to make it more looking like a spider web. Now, I've seen at a few different stores that they do sell foam stickers that will work perfectly for this as well. If you do not want to use your hot glue gun, I do not have any, so I'm just using what I have on hand so that I don't overspend and get carried away, because I always do around Halloween season. But as you see here, I did make a second spider web above the eye on top of the cover just to give it more pizzazz, I guess. And I did the exact same thing. I went over each line twice to really make sure that it was raised, and then I'm making these little U shapes in between so it looks like a spider web. Now for an extra added step, which is kind of necessary to make your book look cohesive and actually in one piece, I have a little cup of water and I'm adding a half a jar of school glue to it, and then mix those two mixtures together. Then I'm taking some toilet paper that I just have on hand, and I'm breaking it up into little sheets. It doesn't matter how big or small, you just need a bunch of them so that you can start adding it to your book. This will actually help your book look like one solid piece together, especially around that eye, so that it looks more natural instead of a bunch of pieces of paper glued together. So I did lay some glue down first and then added the toilet paper right on top, then added more of that glue mixture right on top of the toilet paper. This is tedious and it tends to be a little bit long process, so you might want to turn on some tunes or a spooky movie while you're doing this. That way the process goes a little bit quicker. For the eye, as you see here, I am pressing that tissue paper into the folds that we've created with our scrap paper so that it looks more natural and it fills some of those gaps that are just a little bit too deep. Then I will add it around, and I do add a couple of layers, especially around the eye, just to make sure that everything was nice and one solid piece. I continue adding the toilet paper all around our book. The more layers, I feel like the better, because it just makes the book look more natural and a little bit more creepy. And then I did have to wait for that to completely dry. It did take about a couple of hours since our book is so large. Now we have to add more details by using some paint. I'm first going in with my Waverly chalk paint in the color Crimson Red, and I'm just outlining the edge of our eye here. I wanted my eye to be spooky, so that's why I'm adding red first. Usually with a lot of creatures or spooky things, they have a lot of redness around their eye just to make them look more creepy. So I'm going in with a very small paintbrush and I'm lightly brushing it onto our eye here. I do want to mention, if you add a lot of pressure to one spot while painting, since it is tissue paper that is in that spot, it can tend to rip. So I suggest using really light coats, and if you feel like you need to add more paint, just wait for that area to dry a little bit before adding more on top of it. For added security, you can always add a light coat of Mod Podge on top before painting so that you don't have the risk of ripping any tissue paper. I chose just to paint right on top of it, so after I was done with the red part, I started to go in with my Folk Art Home Decor chalk paint in the color Java, which is a dark brown, and I started to blend that in with the red. I did not wash my brush whatsoever. I just added more paint on top of it. Then I started going in with various browns and tans just to really add the highlights and the shadows where I think the eyelid would have it. This is definitely a preference. You don't have to use this. You can even make your creature a totally different color if you want to, but I wanted this to kind of look like real skin and really embrace the spooky vibe. I will continue painting on these layers all around my book, making sure to cover any areas that you see tissue paper. Now, it is okay if you see some of the craft paper underneath, but I just didn't want to see any of that tissue paper, so I continue adding layers on layers. I waited for those layers to completely dry before adding our second layer so that I don't rip the paper that is underneath. After our book had time to dry, I went back in with black acrylic paint and I started going over the spider webs that we created earlier with that black acrylic paint. I also painted the little wooden beads that we placed on the corner of the book also. Now it's time to work on our pages of the book. I know they look good as is, but once again, I really wanted this book to look really old, so I went in with my Folk Art Home Decor chalk paint in the color Java, and I'm adding that to our pages of the book. I'm adding it in various places. I just really wanted some of them to look really dark and dingy. Then I went in with a tan color in my apple barrel paint and added that right on top and started blending the two together. Lastly, I did add some ivory color right on top of that, along with some mustard yellow, just to add more dinginess. And sometimes the old books have that golden hue underneath the old pages, so I just added that and blended everything together. I did the exact same thing for the other two sides. Once that had time to completely dry, I wanted to decorate the inside of my book here, and I'm using some scrapbooking paper that I purchased from Michael's a while back. Now, these scrapbooking papers came from a couple different books, and I've had these scrapbooking papers for a really long time, and I like to attach some of these papers using my hot glue gun because it's just easier that way. I added a bunch of it on the back side of this scrapbooking paper, and I'm using my little finger protector to push everything down. Then I will continue that process for the inside of my box also. However, I do use different images from a different scrapbooking paper like I mentioned. What I like to do is add it to the center, press down firmly so that I know it's nice and even, and then I press down once again using my finger. I will continue that process for all four sides. However, for the bottom of our book here, I do add scrap pieces of scrapbooking paper and add it in just like a collage just to make it look a little bit different. Remember, you do not have to use paper. If you want to add some cloth here, that will work perfectly as well. After I place down my paper, that completes this DIY. I absolutely loved how our little spooky book turned out. This guy right here is super fun, really spooky, and since my family seen it, all they kept talking about was Hocus Pocus. Now, that really wasn't the vibe I was going for, but I guess I see the similarities. However, I still loved how it turned out. And the best part about this is that you can open it up and use it as storage. You can lay it on your coffee table and maybe put your remote controls in there, or have it in your library and hide some of your secret stash in there, where pretty much the possibilities are endless. But I just love how it looks, and I love that you can use it as something besides a decor piece. I would love to know what you think about this DIY down in the comment section below, as always. And if you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to smash that thumbs up button. It really does help out my channel. I am trying to reach a goal of 15,000 subscribers by October, so if you are new here and you haven't yet subscribed, I hope you do that today. All you have to do is hit that big red subscribe button down below. It is totally free. But remember to hit the bell notification so that YouTube can always notify you every time I upload a new video. Plus, we would love to have you here, part of our virtual art family. If you're already a subscriber, thank you so much for being here and clicking on today's video. I really hope that you enjoy, but don't forget to do all of the YouTubey things down below, which is like, comment, and share it to at least one friend. It really does help out. Remember, friends, I have other socials down below, which is the Facebook, Instagram, Buy Me a Coffee, and a Patreon page. All of those links will be down below if you want to become a member. I really do appreciate all of you, and I really hope that you enjoyed today's video. And as always, I will see you in the next one.